Some pain doesn't scream. It doesn't show up in wounds or bruises or tears in public, but it weighs, quietly, constantly. It's the kind of pain that sits inside your chest while you smile, the kind that hides behind "I'm fine" when everything is falling apart. And here's the truth no one tells you. The pain you don't show is often the one that hurts the most. Society praises those who keep it together, who smile, perform, stay strong. But no one talks about the cost of carrying what you never speak. The anxiety, the fatigue, the emotional numbness that creeps in slowly. You get so used to holding everything inside that you forget what it feels like to breathe freely. So let me ask you, how much of yourself have you buried just to keep looking okay? This video isn't for people who want to keep pretending. It's for those who are tired of faking strength. You don't have to take notes. You can just let it play in the background. Listen with your heart. And if something here speaks to you, like really speaks to you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us. Sometimes, healing starts with a voice that finally puts your feelings into words. Some people learn to smile while falling apart inside. They wake up, go to work, chat with others, and no one suspects the storm hiding behind a simple, "I'm fine." Holding in pain becomes a habit, almost automatic. But pain that's not expressed doesn't just go away. It transforms. It shows up as tiredness you can't explain, sleepless nights, anxiety for no clear reason. It's like sweeping dirt under the rug every day. One day, you trip over it. Your soul tries to move forward, but your body starts sending the bill. Tension in your shoulders, mood swings, or a strange emptiness you can't quite name. I once knew someone who was always laughing, always upbeat, the kind of person everyone saw as the strong one. But what no one knew was that every night she'd cry in the shower, hiding from the world. She didn't even know how heavy it had all become until she broke down. And this is more common than most people think. On the outside, control. On the inside, pressure building. Every time you say, "it's nothing," when it's actually everything, you push that pain deeper. But buried pain doesn't disappear. It waits. So let me ask you, how many times have you said, "I'm okay," when you were falling apart inside? That phrase becomes a shield, a mask you wear so well you start to forget it's even there. But masks get heavy, and sooner or later they start to crack. The pain we swallow shows up in our bodies, our relationships, our sleep. It shows up in our silence, and no one can carry that forever. But why is it so hard to let it show? Maybe what comes next will help you understand. Many people grow up believing that showing emotion is weakness. Crying is seen as shameful. Talking about pain feels like failure. So what do? We build masks. We pretend to be strong, calm, fine, even when we're hurting inside. At first it feels like protection, but over time it becomes a prison, like wearing a costume that's too tight. You can barely breathe, but you're afraid to take it off. Hiding pain may keep others comfortable, but it leaves you exhausted. Think about how many men were taught that real men don't cry, or how many women were told they had to be strong all the time. That kind of pressure doesn't disappear. It settles deep inside. I remember a man who always looked in control, calm, responsible, the one who never showed emotion. But one day he said, "I don't want to be the strong one anymore. I just want to be real." That moment was powerful. Because the truth is, we don't need to be strong all the time. We just need to be honest with ourselves. The first step is simple but brave. Admit that you're afraid to show your pain. Not to everyone, just to yourself. When you do that, something softens inside. Real strength doesn't come from pretending you're okay. It comes from facing what's really going on inside you. Taking off the mask isn't weakness, it's freedom. And when the mask comes off, you may start to notice that the pain you've hidden for so long has already started showing up somewhere else. Your body is always talking, even when your words stay silent. When your emotions don't find a voice, your body becomes the messenger. That tight chest, the constant back pain, the migraine that won't go away, it's not always just physical. It's your inner world asking for attention, like a stage where your unspoken feelings act out what's been held inside. Ever noticed how we say, "carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders"? That's not just a saying. Your body feels everything you try to hide. Let me share a story. A woman I once knew worked nonstop. Job, house, kids, always taking care of everyone but herself. She smiled through everything and always said, "I'm fine." But then came the headaches, the insomnia, the deep tiredness that rest couldn't fix. She didn't realize her body was shouting what her voice never said, "I'm not okay." It wasn't until she started talking, really talking, that the symptoms began to ease. Her body didn't need medication, it needed her attention. So, take a moment. What is your body trying to tell you? Maybe that stomach pain isn't just stress. Maybe your tight jaw is holding in words you never said. Start paying attention to the patterns. When do you feel worse? What triggers your pain? Listening to your body is one of the most powerful forms of self-care. Because when the soul goes unheard, the body will find a way to speak. And if we keep ignoring it, we might need to listen through a different kind of pain. Some people think they have only two options: stay silent or tell everything to everyone. But there's a third path, one that's gentle, wise, and healing. It's choosing a safe place, a safe person, or even a safe page to let your pain breathe. Holding it all inside is like turning off a fire alarm while the house is still burning. The noise stops, but the danger doesn't. Pain doesn't need a stage, it needs space. Just one person who really listens can make all the difference. Sometimes healing starts with a simple question: can I talk to you? Talking helps, but writing can too. There were moments in my own life where I couldn't speak the pain, but I could write it. On paper, I found words I didn't know I had. And slowly, I began to understand myself. Therapy can be a powerful space for this. So can a quiet conversation with someone you trust. You don't have to explain everything. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to let the pain exist instead of pretending it doesn't. I remember a friend who once said, almost in a whisper, "I'm tired." That was it. Not a long speech, not a dramatic scene, just a moment of truth. And that truth opened the door for everything he'd been carrying. Sometimes it takes just one honest sentence to start feeling lighter. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fall apart to deserve support. Asking for help is not weakness, it's emotional maturity. And yet, so many people still hide what hurts most deeply: the need to be seen. There's a kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It's what happens when you're surrounded by people, but no one really knows what's going on inside you. When you hide your pain, you build invisible walls, and those walls keep connection out. Conversations feel shallow, relationships start to feel empty, and over time you begin to wonder if anyone truly knows you. Because if you're always hiding what hurts, who are they really loving? It's like wearing a mask all the time. People might say they love you, but deep down you don't feel it. Not because they're lying, but because the version of you they love isn't the full picture. I once heard someone say, "Everyone loves me, but no one knows me." That stuck with me, because love only truly touches us when it meets our whole self. Joy and sadness, strength and struggle. When you never show your pain, love can't reach the parts of you that need it most. Being seen in your pain is one of the most powerful healing experiences there is. It tells your soul, you matter, even in this. Real relationships aren't built on perfection, they're built on presence. And that means being there for each other, even when it's messy. Letting someone see your pain doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. And when you let yourself be real, something shifts. Because pain that's welcomed starts to change. And that change begins to shape something even deeper inside you. Pain gets a bad reputation. Most people try to avoid it, hide it, or push through it like it's something to defeat. But pain isn't the enemy. It's a message, a signal that something needs your attention. When you stop fighting it and start listening, everything begins to shift. Welcoming your pain doesn't mean giving up. It means saying, "I see you, let's figure this out." It's like a wound, it won't heal if you ignore it. But when you clean it, care for it, and give it air, it begins to close. I once knew someone who hit rock bottom from burnout. He had spent years being strong for everyone else, until his body said, enough. At first he felt ashamed. But in therapy, he slowly began to see that his pain wasn't here to destroy him. It was here to wake him up, to guide him back to himself. He started setting boundaries, being honest about how he felt, and asking for help. That pain, the one he feared, became the turning point. And now he says, it was the moment he truly started living. In many spiritual traditions, pain is seen as a doorway, not a punishment. It asks us to pause, to grow, to return home to who we are. Pain can soften you, make you more compassionate, more human. It strips away the noise and gets you face to face with what truly matters. The key is not to fear it, but to meet it with kindness. And when you do, something beautiful happens. But before we welcome pain, many of us try to ignore it by comparing it to someone else's. That's the next trap we need to talk about. Have you ever told yourself, I shouldn't complain? Other people have it worse? On the surface, it sounds humble, even kind, but underneath, it's just another way to silence your own pain. Comparing suffering doesn't heal anyone, it just pushes your feelings further down. Imagine someone breaks their leg, and instead of getting help, they say, well, at least I didn't lose my arm. Both need care, both deserve attention. Pain is not a contest, and minimizing your hurt doesn't make you stronger, it makes you more disconnected. I've heard so many people say, I don't even have the right to feel this way, as if emotions needed permission, as if sadness had to meet a certain level of drama before it counted. But every feeling is valid inside the story of the one who feels it. Your pain is real, even if someone else is going through something different. A small wound still hurts. A quiet heartbreak still breaks. You don't need to justify your pain to deserve support. You just need to be honest with yourself and allow space for healing. So next time something hurts, resist the urge to look sideways and measure it. Look inward. Ask yourself, what is this pain asking from me? That question alone can begin the process of healing. Respecting your pain is not self-centered. It's self-care. and it's often the first act of love we give ourselves. But here's the thing, not everyone hides pain with silence. Some people hide it behind laughter. Some of the funniest people you know might also be the saddest. They joke, smile, keep the mood light, but inside, they're carrying things no one sees. Humor becomes a shield. A way to stay likable, safe, and avoid uncomfortable questions. It's like painting over a cracked wall. From a distance, everything looks fine. But underneath, the damage is still there. And the more they laugh, the more they hide. Because it's easier to be the happy one than to say, I'm hurting. I remember someone who was always the life of the party, making everyone laugh, keeping spirits high. But one day they disappeared for a while. When they came back, they admitted they had been struggling with depression for months. No one had noticed. Why? Because they hid behind smiles, and that's the danger. You can be genuinely funny and still be in pain, but when the humor is a mask instead of an expression, it starts to drain you. Even laughter becomes exhausting when it's forced. Being joyful doesn't mean you have to be invincible. Real freedom is being able to laugh when it's real, and cry when it hurts. It's saying, yes, I love to smile, but I also allow myself to feel. Humor can heal, but it shouldn't be your only medicine. Ask yourself, am I laughing because I'm okay or because I'm afraid to show that I'm not? That's a powerful question, because if you're always hiding behind a smile, you might start to lose touch with what you truly feel. Pretending you're okay for too long doesn't just fool others, it disconnects you from yourself. At first, it feels like survival, a way to keep going, to avoid questions, to hold things together. But slowly, you lose track of what's real. You forget how to feel without editing. Life starts to feel flat. You're moving, talking, doing, but something is missing. It's like walking with a broken compass. You're busy, but lost. You stop recognizing your own reflection because it's built on silence, not truth. I've heard people say, I don't know who I am anymore. And that confusion often comes after years of hiding emotions. When you bury your sadness, fear, or anger, you also bury your voice. Your desires get quieter. Your joy feels distant. You begin to live on autopilot, functioning but not really living. The mask becomes your new identity, and underneath it is someone who's tired of pretending, someone who just wants to feel something real again, without fear, without shame. Reconnecting with yourself doesn't need to be dramatic. It can start small. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Maybe you don't know yet. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. The more you allow yourself to feel, the more alive you become. But when you ignore that for too long, your pain doesn't disappear. It builds. And sometimes, all it takes is one small trigger for everything to overflow. Pain that gets swallowed day after day eventually overflows. And when it does, it's often not in the way you expect. A simple comment, a traffic jam, a missed text, suddenly you snap. But what's exploding isn't just that moment. It's the buildup behind it, like filling a bucket with tiny drops. Stress, disappointment, unspoken hurt. At some point, it spills. And when it does, you might not even recognize yourself. The outburst feels random, but your body and heart know the real story. I remember a man who prided himself on never losing his cool, always calm, always collected. Then one day, in a work meeting, he exploded over something small. But that moment was just the final drop. Behind it were years of saying yes when he wanted to say no, hiding stress, avoiding conflict. He didn't need to feel ashamed of the explosion. What he needed was to understand the silence that led to it. Because silence isn't peace, it's often pressure without release. That's why prevention matters more than damage control. Speaking up before you break is an act of care. And speaking doesn't always mean talking. It can be journaling, praying, breathing, walking alone, going to therapy. You don't have to wait until you hit your limit. You don't have to explode to be heard. The earlier you listen to your pain, the gentler the healing can be. But sometimes the pain didn't start recently. It began way back, in the child inside you. Inside every adult lives a child who once had to stay quiet just to feel safe. Maybe that child wasn't allowed to cry. Maybe no one asked how they felt. So they learned to hold it in, to be strong, to stay small, to not need too much. But that pain doesn't disappear with age. It stays. It hides in your triggers and your fears, in the way you react when you feel ignored. And often the pain you carry now is the voice of that child still waiting to be seen. I've seen people cry, not for what's happening today, but for what never happened back then. One woman realized her deep anxiety came from being constantly criticized as a child. She was always walking on eggshells, afraid to disappoint. When she began to care for that part of her, with patience and compassion, something softened inside. She wasn't broken, she was unheard. Healing began when she stopped judging herself and started offering the love she had needed for so long. Here's something simple you can try. Close your eyes and picture your younger self. How do they look? What would they say? What do they need to hear? Speak to them with kindness. Treat them like someone you love. Because every pain that goes unseen is really just an unanswered cry for love. And when that love finally arrives, even quietly, the healing begins. But to truly heal, we must let others see us. And that's where real courage lives. Showing your pain isn't weakness. It's one of the bravest things you can do. In a world that teaches us to keep it together, to stay strong, to smile no matter what, choosing to be real takes courage. It's easy to hide. It's easy to pretend. But when you open up, when you say, "I'm not okay," something powerful happens. You stop pretending. You start healing. And you give others permission to be real too. Because your truth can be someone else's light. I once met a woman who always looked perfect, confident, unshakable. And one day, she opened up about her struggles with grief. And in that moment, everything changed. People didn't walk away. They leaned in, they cried with her, shared their own stories. Her vulnerability created a space for others to feel safe. That's the beauty of honesty. It connects us. Your pain, when shared with care, can help others feel less alone. It turns isolation into community. So don't underestimate the power of being seen in your hardest moments. When you show your pain, you also show your strength. You say, "I'm human," and that's enough. And maybe, just maybe, someone watching you will feel a little braver too. It's like lighting a candle in the dark. One light can help many find their way. Showing your pain might be the start of something much bigger than healing. It might be the beginning of freedom for you and for those around you. If you made it this far, it means something inside you resonated. Maybe a memory surfaced. Maybe a truth finally made sense. The question now is, what are you going to do with everything you've just felt? Will you keep carrying this pain alone? Or will you give it a voice? Even a small one. Healing doesn't start with big steps. It starts with one honest moment. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop pretending you're not hurting. Because pain ignored becomes pain repeated. But pain that is seen can finally be released. So write something. Talk to someone. Sit in silence and feel. Let your pain be witnessed, even if it's just by you. And now I want to hear from you. What part of this message hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. Let's create a space where truth is safe. And if you want to keep walking this path of healing, self-awareness, and real connection, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and join us on this journey. You're not alone in this.